Redline Logbook here for Wistoria Wand and Sword, Chapter 51. And we're getting right in just at the beginning where Gothica is now attacking the tower. The attack is a mixture of both Gothica members and, of course, puppets. As such, since the bulk of the army that's attacking are puppets, Aria is up above giving orders basically to not harm them if possible. But if you can't subdue them otherwise, then you're going to have to take them out, which is a very depressing thing to say out loud, but I completely understand why she's giving out that order. While it won't make it easy to kill a friend of yours who's being puppeted, it will make it easier for you to make that decision because it is an order. Clary is then attacked by a dark magic mage. He starts to grandstand and basically announce that he's a leader of Gothica, but that is when Sarissa basically just cuts him off in the middle of his monologue, which kind of sucks because it's clear he practiced that at some point, and she just ruined it. She says that he should just stop Walthers. Yes, his name is Walthers, not Walter. So Walthers is the leader of the Darkness faction, so he's basically higher up within the tower, but he was suspected of being a traitor from the very beginning, apparently. And she even comments that it would have been easier for him to hide the fact that he is a traitor if he just, made himself look more respectable. Which he takes as an insult because it's clearly just her judging him by his looks. Because the guy basically dresses like an emo goth. Big earrings, tattoos, the guy goes the full 9 yards to look like a villain. But once again, he's part of the Darkness faction. That could just be something that they do. Because, dark magic. A lot of people with middle school syndrome. Walther then starts insulting Sarissa and at the same time asking where Alfie's at. And Sarissa's response is basically, yeah, she's busy doing something vastly more important. I promised I would take care of you. Apparently, Withers is famous for doing a lot of research and studying, and so Sarissa suspects that he probably has some kind of plan or two that can go after Alfie. And Sarissa straight up says, I will stop you from trying anything to hurt her. I will protect her. And it's clear these two know each other because his insults are very personal to the point where he straight up says that Sarissa has been defanged by Alfie, and he calls her a nickname, My Ice Maiden, which heavily implies that was probably her name back before Alfie basically became top dog, heavily implying that Sarissa probably wasn't a magic wand, obviously, but she was probably the leader of the Ice faction before Alfie. And so these two basically interacted with each other constantly as the leader of the Ice and the leader of the Darkness faction until, Alfie came along. Claria then asked him why does he want to destroy the false sky and bring calamity to the world. And Walther's response is both insane and actually makes sense, but more insane. And that the world that they exist in is a diorama created by the Witch Queen. And that he sees everything that exists on this side of the wall as basically being just a fake thing created by the Witch Queen. Her personal garden, he refers to it as. What he wants is to see what's on the other end of the sky, so this way he can then truly study his darkness magic and bring it to its full fruition. Now, do I think that would actually happen? No, because he would be being killed by a bunch of monsters from the other side of the sky. So yeah, his beliefs are more crazy than rational. He then casts a giant darkness spell in the sky, which scares both Claria and Sarissa, proving that this guy did earn his spot as the top of the Darkness faction. We jump over to another part of the battlefield where we have the Earth faction. The leader and two of his guys are there, and they basically announce that they are Clinette's personal soldiers, basically. Now, they were really excited when she joined the faction to begin with, but the fact that they're going this far is insane to me. The fact that they are openly announcing to the world that they support Clinette as their number one, even though she's literally just a newbie freshman member of the Earth faction. Now, we understand why later on in this chapter, especially why her ancestor was a member of the Vanjawanda. Damn, they are actually striking poses in her name. That's how dedicated they are. Apparently, they were sent after another leader of Gothica, and that was Arvin, the leader of the Wind faction. So yeah, he was in fact member of Gothica, which was heavily implied a couple chapters ago. And just like before, the man is a blibbering mess, constantly saying that everything gets ruined because of him. He's the problem. Why did he have to be a part of this? He was just going to screw it up. Basically just being his neurotic self that he was before. He basically starts to have a panic attack to the point where he decides he's going to take his candy that he mentioned in a previous chapter. And as I guessed, it is in fact a drug. But it's not a drug to control him, which I thought it was, like an addiction that he had to be satisfied with. No, this drug seems to be magic in nature, where it basically gives him a second personality. Just like in Don Machi with Hagni, he goes from being this scared, insecure wreck basically being a vicious monster who wants to just kill his enemies. Now that his second personality is taken over, he then creates a giant tornado and just uses it as a prison to trap the Earth faction in. And now that they're trapped, he makes a call to the rest of Gothica and announces it's time. That time being the members of Gothica who are carrying Mage killers. So yeah, while the Earth faction was ordered to go after Arvin was ordered to go after the Earth faction, because while they can make Earth from magic itself, which will then get canceled out by the Mage killers, they can also manipulate the Earth, which isn't made of magic, and so it can't be nullified. And so that's the great weakness of the Mage killers. So targeting the Earth faction was their goal from the very beginning. As a result of this, the Tower faction is quickly being overpowered because Gothica can use spells and also cancel out theirs, and so it is completely one-sided at this point. Auron, one of the 3 colors that attack Julius, is currently being attacked by his 2 friends who are being puppeted, and he just gets impaled through the chest, and he is on the verge of death. He is basically accepts the fact that he's going to die now, and he actually starts to freak out. That's when Wigna cast that healing spell that we saw him learning in previous chapters, and this healing spell is massive. It covers not just the area that he's in, but multiple city blocks. It's insane how massive this is. Wigna just healed, like, not just one, but multiple squads of mages. Clinette then shows up, and the first thing that she does is think to herself how she hated her younger self, because that person was angry and hate-filled and just a terrible person, apparently. And this younger version of herself says, well, you might hate me, but Will liked me. He says he liked me for who I am. And Clinette basically says, yes, I know. And that makes her smile. And then she asks her younger self for a little bit of her strength. And so I mentioned this way back in previous chapters so long ago. The ring around her wrist. I noticed how magic would go through it whenever she casted a spell. I was unsure what it was doing at the time, but apparently it was holding back her magic. It was nullifying much of it. She says first seal limit unlock. Now, I don't know how many seals are on this bracelet, but if this is only the first seal and there are more, then Clinette is holding back a tidal wave of power. One of her eyes gets completely swallowed up by darkness, which is why I said this is probably just a single limiter of multiple, because I'm guessing both of her eyes turn completely black. But anyway, she then manifests those giant golem arms she had before. In that flashback when she was a kid, she used them to stop all the attacks coming from the Gothica and the puppets, and then she uses them to completely crush everyone. This is a power that is passed down her bloodline, basically from mother to daughter, for generations. This is why she had an ancestor that was a magic Wanda, because apparently her bloodline aren't just Earth mages. No, they are connected to the Earth itself. She is manifesting not golem arms, but the hands of the planet itself. We then pop over to Melcier, the second command of the Wind faction, and she's on her way to, well, the panel that controls the tower. And standing in her way is Will and Liana. Yeah, they're still here. They didn't go down in the expedition with the Thunder faction. They were able to convince Zero not that it was important to save everyone or save the tower. No. Zero doesn't care about that. No. The way they were able to convince him was by saying that fighting in this battle would make them stronger than going down into the dungeon. And so they're here to stop her personally, because apparently the second in command of the Wind faction is using shapeshifting magic at this moment. She was the puppet master Shade, which is how she was able to get into the tower so easily. One, there are a bunch of traitors, obviously, that could have let her in, but she herself was a traitor. She's literally an officer within one of the units. Now, for some weird reason, both Will and Liana know this, and they basically are forced her to reveal her identity. We do not get any explanation why or how they knew this. In fact, we don't get an explanation of how they knew that the leaders of the Darkness or the Wind faction were both members of Gothica either. None of it is explained. I hope in the next chapter they will explain it, but at the moment, as you can imagine, Shade, very pissed off. She hates these two, and she's ready to kill them. In fact, from what I can tell, she's more excited about killing these two than she is about finishing her mission. And unfortunately, that's where the chapter leaves off. So, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up, so you can enjoy more Wistoria and other May things. Thank you, and have a great day.